Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 16 of Creative Collaborations, Conversations with Veronica and Jillian. And as always, I'm Veronica, and I'm here with Jillian.
Hello. And today's topic is falling in and out of love with your business, or I guess with my business, or you with your business, right? So with our businesses.
With our businesses.
Yeah. Falling in and out of love.
Yeah, I think everyone goes through that. And I do need to give credit where it's due, because when we were discussing topics and what to discuss, this topic came to my mind because of Julia Perkins from Wise Minds, that she really talks quite a lot about this. And she makes perfect sense, because I'm pretty sure, like, Jillian, you are now in that moment where you're falling in love with your business, you're redefining it. And I'm kind of doing something similar. I know I did. Actually, I can't say I fell off. I did have that moment, but I feel I need to change different things as well, because makes perfect sense. We are changing as human beings. So of course that will have an impact on your business, especially when it's your business. It's not that you are working for someone else, but it's part of your day-to-day. And I always say entrepreneurship is a lifestyle. So it's not like you're switching it off the moment you close your laptop. On the contrary, it actually comes even more during the night, or when you're preparing the agenda for the next day. So it makes perfect sense. Like,
it's so funny listening to you talk. Oh man, I just thought of this. Yeah, it's not a new way to think about it, but it just made me laugh for a minute, because like we have a relationship with our business, right? Yes. And so it's, I think, perhaps constructive to think of it in those terms. And so thinking about that made me laugh, because I just had the breakup conversation with a client that I had for 10 years, right?
I love breakup conversation with a client.
Yeah. But thinking about it in the way I would describe it, I just quickly had a flash, like, how would I describe that relationship if it were a romantic relationship? And I would describe it as like a very vanilla, very like just flat, like very, not, maybe the word would be boring, but it was like not like, it was okay. What would be the word to describe it? It was like comfortable status quo. Like, okay, it wasn't a lot of peaks and it wasn't a lot of valleys. It was just,
you know exactly what to expect when.
Yep. And so that was okay for a while, but definitely, for the last stretch of time, I knew that it wasn't a bad relationship. It wasn't one that I needed to eject myself out of. It wasn't one of those situations. It was more, I want to fly. I want to do more. I want to have more life, more energy, more collaboration. So that's why it came up, because thinking about the things that I love about my business. So it's not that I was like falling out of love. It was more like the monotony, and it just wasn't fulfilling enough. So that part of it I had to move on from, in order to make space for the things that I do love about my business and my work. So I was just thinking about the parallels of like how we show up in our personal relationships or our romantic relationships, and then how about the relationship we have with our businesses, and looking at the overlaps and differences thereof.
I actually love this comparison, because thinking about the jobs that I left and businesses that I had also in my business, and what I do with my clients, I'm looking for that creativity. This is why I have such a broad, I'm covering such a broad range of industries, because that stimulates me, that makes me be curious, that makes me research, that makes me be creative. And that creativity that to apply to an industry can take over to another industry, and you can do amazing things. Because what kills me, literally kills me, is that monotony, that's it's nice to have a predictability, but you do need the peaks. You do need, for me, the predictability is that feel that, okay, so that those are the basics. And now we can start building and exploring and experimenting and just discovering what we like and what we don't like, to keep the, the metaphor going. Because otherwise it will be so boring. And when you're boring, that's actually my problem. When you're bored, you're not delivering. When you're bored, you're just doing it everything automatically. And like, for example, driving. I love driving. So actually, I will be much more prone to have an accident when I go very slow than when I go very fast. Because then it's easy. What can go wrong, right? But when you go quite fast, then you pay attention, because a lot of things, you take more things into account. Like I can't brake in the last moment, because if I'm going with 150, there are different factors into account. And if a car is coming in front of me or changing lanes, I need to be much more aware, right? So your attention is different. So it's the same when you have new clients and diverse clients, and when you're loving your what you're doing and the creativity. And this is actually what I need in my business. So for me, what I noticed the moment when, for example, for my previous the job, I had only one job since I moved to the Netherlands. You could wake me up at 2:00 in the night and I was able to do the job and actually not make mistakes. Like I knew everything by heart. That was the moment too. Okay, that's not working anymore. There's no stimulation, right? Yeah. So it kind of applies to the business. Like for example, ONS, the online networking with the spin that we discussed a couple of episodes ago. Though I think it was all online networking with the spin 2.0, with the spin 2.0, was the same. Like I can do it anytime, any moment. I remember the butterfly said, oh, what am I going to present now? How will I do it at the beginning? When I don't have that, is okay, something needs to change. How do I fit this in the business? Do I need to drop it, or what do I need to do with it? Because it's not exciting anymore. And if I'm not excited, I'm not producing the best results.
So what about thinking of falling in and out of love with our business in two other ways? One is like the idea of working in our business. It's like the things that we love to do or don't love to do in our business, but then also working on our business, right? Because sometimes I think if it's the things like the working in our business, it's easier to delegate those things or to outsource those things that we don't love to do.
Correct. And that's the first thing you need to start doing, by the way, for all the listeners, the moment even before you can afford it, because then you'll be able to afford it actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing what those things are and owning them and being proactive about finding other ways to get them addressed. Because sometimes, it can take us hours to do something because it's grueling to us and we procrastinate and we drag it through the mud, where somebody else, that maybe is their specialty or something that's a drop in the hat for them.
So they can do it in
20 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think it's also interesting. So I'm curious if you have any examples of these, not to put you on the spot, but I just did. But I'm curious if you have any examples about like the working in the business part or working on the business, and how you feel overall kind of holistically about your business, and things, and maybe how you've fallen in or out of love with it, or the things that need to happen to run the business, or any way you want to respond. I'm curious, just interested.
It's a very good question, very complex, and I think we need to break it down smaller points. But I'm pretty sure that's the case for every entrepreneur. The moment your business grows, you are so focused on working in your business that you forget to work on your business.
Yeah.
Even when you start delegating, is that peak, right? You get more clients on board. Those clients you need to start producing, getting the right team, monitoring, maintaining the relationship, being creative, implementing, monitoring, and on and on and on and on, right? It's a circle. And then you forget to actually work on your business. And in my case, I do work with the coaches. So they they held me to that. And before having that, I had accountability group, and before that also a mastermind. And that helps me to get myself out of in and to see the on. But what I'm realizing alone, it's, for me personally, it's very hard to do that. And I will stop, like now I'm in a process just like you of changing different things. We are reaching the end of the year, and everyone else, we're okay, what do I want to keep? What do I want to drop? How do I want to restructure things? There are a couple of things that we keep on talking and we want to launch, and we never make the time. And now is the moment to actually make the time to launch them and to implement them. But for me personally, what does help is having some outside view, because I'm so caught in the day-to-day activity. And for me, they are normal things. I'm very curious how it is for you, that sometimes I don't realize external people is not common for them, or they don't know them. And this is why it's so important to work with external parties when you have to work on your business, to not necessarily them to do it, but to just drag you a little bit out, to provide you a different perspective, or to just, to provide that cold shower that will just snap you out of your comfort zone and the normal dream that you have. How about you?
So I love that you brought up outside resources, external resources, as a way, as a tool to help us, make sure we're also working on our business. So that's great. And I too have, participated in masterminds, which are really great. And still to this day, I have an ongoing relationship through a mastermind that we have a monthly check-in, and it's really great to talk about kind of high level business objectives, etc. So I'm a huge fan of that, as well as through mentors and coaches. So all of the things that you said, it's really important. I think the part that I guess became trickier for me, or that I maybe lost sight of, is this bit about what I love with my business. Because in looking at it and being extremely candid about it, my 1.0 version of my company, as I now describe it or refer to it as, it served its purpose, right? So I was able to, employ a lot of people for a period of time. So it was like somewhere like 55 contractors over those years. Anyway, so that was good. Also had a steady income for many, many years, and was able to serve a lot of clients for a long time. So there's a lot of positive things. It also was, built it into a place where I could step away from it for periods of time while I was going through, multiple surgeries and IVF, and then pregnancy and childbirth, and then postpartum, and all the goodness that goes with that. So, I was able to have a business intact through all of that. So amazing. And so I do, it's important for me, I'm saying this aloud, maybe it's relevant to somebody else, but it's also important for me to own that, and to recognize it for what it was. And so it served that purpose. However, it also, over time, it got further and further away from the things that I love doing. And so that's where I'm at now, is being much more purposeful and deliberate about identifying those things that I do love, and more like proactively putting them back into my routine and how I show up in business, and what the 2.0 version is becoming. So yeah, that's for me where I'm at.
It's very hard, but it's very good. And we actually discussed about that. My marketing methodology for the strategy, the first step is exactly about that. Who are you as an entrepreneur? How do you and also your company, how do you want to perceive? What do you want to do? What don't you want to do? And translate that. Because if you're forcing it, it will not work. It will be seen, and you're not going to deliver something that you're proud of. And that's the moment, once that you have that, that's the moment to see, what do I need to delegate and what do I need to keep in-house? and what do I need to keep with me? So there are several levels, actually. What do I need to delegate? Outsource, not delegate. I think that's the right word. What do I need to outsource? What do I need to keep inside and delegate? And what needs to be kept with me? And I'm actually now going through a similar moment, but it happened very organic. I just realized it, so I'm very proud of it, actually, because I'm different things that need to be done. I'm realizing I actually don't want to do it. And until now, I would force myself to do them because they have to be done. But now I mean that actually, I really don't want to do this. Do I actually need to do this? Can anyone else do that? What is my involvement? And where do I bring the highest value? And I'm realizing, I had yesterday a quick chat with Stephanie, she's working with me. And I shared that with her, and she was, good, you should actually focus on what I want to focus on the partnerships that I'm creating, on the discussions, on meeting prospects, clients, and the creative part, and to leave that part to her or to someone else, because I'm realizing it will actually take me longer, like what you said. And not because I'm not qualified, it's because I just don't want to do it. So instead of doing it in 3 hours, probably I will take 1 day and still not finish it because I just don't want to do it. So
absolutely.
Does that serve me and my company? No. I think it's, and I'm why I'm proud and of myself, and this is actually very important that I'm saying I'm proud. It's a learning curve for me, is the fact that I'm realizing it, and I'm taking ownership of that, and I'm letting it go. And I think that's also part of the process of re-falling in love with my business, because that will give me the time either to read something that is not business related, but that will help me be creative and bring something into my business, or focus on building those relationships that I love doing and they actually bring value to my company, and just to explore new opportunities. You know, sometimes doing less means doing more for your business.
Yes, I love that. It's a great example. So congratulations to you for kind of I would say arriving at a new frontier of doing that organically without tons of thought and focused effort. That it seems like it's been something that you strive to do. It sounds like you have stepped into that now, kind of organically looking to delegate things as opposed to forcing it. So that's a celebratory moment for you. That's a really important one, actually, as a business owner.
Thank you. Yeah. And I do hope that for everyone. And it's not easy. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of bad things are happening, or moments or doubts. So, but it does help. And that also shows I'm getting more confident in what I'm doing. And I think that's actually, we discussed about women in business previous episode. And I think I don't think it applies only to women, by the way. This applies to trust in you as an entrepreneur, especially if you're doing it for a long time. So I have Spin since 2017, like January. I'm doing it for a long time. I have clients for years. They are happy. They are staying with us. So that shows we do know what we are doing. So maybe when you have that, so you do have a track record, is the time you need to stop and say, hey, I have this. So that means I'm doing something good. So I just need to trust and go for it. Yeah. And it's the same with you. Like we kept on discussing this over dinner and episodes. And you know what you're doing. You just need to take ownership and go with it.
Yeah, I think it's been really good for me to go through the process of identifying what are the things I really enjoy, what are the things that I love doing. And what I realize is the things that I love most are the things I also did early on in my 1.0, right? Because and so those things are like, I love strategizing with clients about how they can either achieve some desired outcome, some growth outcome, or to troubleshoot or fix something. So I love strategizing. And then strategizing for me, I couch that in with pitching, because the way I prospect is, I guess people would call it pitching. So I would do kind of more of a consultative consultative selling approach. But I really enjoy that because it's so much based on problem solving and collaborating and and not really, and being very removed from the outcome and whether or not they hire me or not. But I really enjoy that. I love that so much. And I did that a lot in the beginning. And a lot of those encounters turned into long-term clients, right? So then it's been a bit of time since I was engaged in that type of like energy. So I love doing that. I love collaborating. I love collaborating with my team, and I love collaborating with clients. It's those are the things that I love to do, but I haven't been doing as much of those because I was more so, maintaining or nurturing and not really having my sleeves up, getting my hands dirty and engaging in those like new growth opportunities for my own company.
It's this why we have this together, because that's also my style. I'm going and I'm starting sharing ideas to the level that actually my team is like, you need to shut up, don't share it so much. They will steal the idea and go for it. But the specific point, I don't really care so much. Like, okay, that means you're not my client. And I do know,
right.
Actually it happened when we send my proposals are more like beginning of a strategy plan, marketing than a strategy plan than actually a proposal. But on the other hand, what I saw, like people that will take them and try to do them by themselves, they will not be able to do because they don't really understand the thought behind it. So even if you take the idea, it will not work. You're not going to get the results. So it's like, okay, if you're like that, that shows me something about your character and the way you're working and how you approach business. And at the specific point, I'm like, actually, thank you for doing that, because otherwise we would have had problems working together, and better solve them at the beginning than when you are in the middle of the project, when it's really hard to get out of that particular situation or project. So I think it depends. It's coming back to values in one way, like what's your mission, what are your values? And one of my values is abundancy. So in that case, sharing ideas and perspectives like you do, it's part of that. Like no one can actually take my creativity, right? So I know I'm always going to come up with ideas. That's my superpower, right?
Yes, which is and that's the reason that we're here, is because the abundance mentality happens to be a value that we share, right? So we're
exactly
kind of, it's how we both show up in life and business. So it's pretty cool. So we both love that about our businesses. So falling in and out of love.
To bring it back to our business, to fall back in love with our business.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious, a lot of entrepreneurs, and you see this everywhere. I haven't done it, but maybe it could be interesting. You see different retreats for entrepreneurs or business people to go and discuss and have a coach and have a program around it. And they're also for smaller entrepreneurs you get your materials and you go alone and you seclude yourself in a beautiful place for couple of like a long weekend and work on that. Have you ever done it? Does that work for you?
I have not. I have never. Have I? I used to go. Yeah, that was not the same thing. I would say no. I've had close encounters, but I haven't actually done that. And so you have not either?
I have not. I do wonder if how many people follow through afterwards, because that's great to go and start creating, but do you really follow through? And my gut feeling tells me the big majority is not. What helps me though is to meet people I trust and to share and get a different perspective. That really helps me, and to just see different methods applied to what I do, and to like switch it,
Yeah.
like a cube. You keep on turning it and look at it from different parts, and you see different aspects, different nuances, small details that spark an idea or make you really, oh, but I love that and I forgot about it. Shall I just go back and implement it, or do, or as kids, or I have a dog, everyone knows. When you give the toys and he gets bored with them, and then you put them away, and then you take them out after a couple of weeks and they're loving it again. And I think with
what's
kids
old
is the
is
same.
new again. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I think that applies to your business, because you're so used to the couple of things that you kind of forget about them or take them for granted. And if you just leave them and you look at them again after a short period,
I
you
think
see them differently.
Yeah. So a quick comment about, you were saying you wonder if people follow through. So one of the ideas that I've been carrying around for years is like similar to, that if you haven't found a book that you're looking for, maybe you should write it, kind of a thing. Or if you're trying to find a product, there's a product that you can't find and you want it to create it, like that idea.
Like my base conference.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. So for me, I thought the same thing. It would be interesting to, and maybe it exists and I just haven't found it yet. So, I would love to attend, whatever word we're going to call it. I guess we'll go with retreat. To be around, like-minded people, to, work through some maybe structured, facilitated exercises and such. So a lot of the mental side, the mindset pieces, some strategizing, but also have probably 50% or more of the time also focused on taking massive action. Because I think there's too often a disconnect between the things that we're thinking about and the things that we do. And for a lot of us, we get home, we have all this stuff, and then it's like, And so if we can also add that into the same experience, then we're going back home, we're going back home with the table already set. We're already in motion. Things are already started. We've already made some of those like scary phone calls, or we've already published the thing, or whatever the thing is for everybody. So for me, that type is how I've always envisioned like an ideal type of retreat.
Get it done.
So I feel
like that.
It's going to be on my list. It's going to be on my list for going into the new year to see if I can find one like that. And if not, I might have to create the 1.0 version of that, because it would be really fun to do that.
How about we
and
join
I would
forces
love to
for that? You do the business part and I help you with the marketing, because it's very in line with the marketing accelerator we are launching. So that could go very, very in line. But I agree, actually.
Yeah.
And guys, this is how these new business ventures between the two of us are showing up.
Yeah. So stay tuned for our retreat.
And this is how we fall in love with our businesses again, having a new idea. But
there's actually a woman, Amy, who has, I just remembered, I should chat with Amy. Amy has a really interesting retreat that she runs. I think it's twice a year. And I think, Amy, I have to chat with her, and I forget what it's called. It's like the happy avocado or something like that. Something avocado, or the ripe avocado would make more sense, but maybe it was happy. Anyway, she has a retreat. I should chat with her about how she facilitates hers. So that's note to self. But anyway, carrying on.
I lost my line of thought.
Sorry, went on about the avocado.
sorry. But coming back to the discussion, I think we can actually put it on two lines. Is one, is it falling in love and out, in and out of love, out and in with your business, in and out and in and out of love with your business? Purely, do you need to love what you're doing? Is that a mental thing, or is it also related to the practice? Because sometimes you're just overwhelmed by the day-to-day activities. And I'm pretty sure it's like looking around and talking with business owners around like how we are mature companies, you tend to be overwhelmed at a specific point. And then I think you start falling out of love with your business. So is it just changing perspective, delegating, or actually, I think it's the combination. Now I'm thinking while I'm talking, you do need to have the click in your head, what is happening, come up with ideas, but I think you need to implement them in order to fall in love again with it. Because otherwise it will just stay to the theoretic level, like to make the metaphor with the boyfriend that you said, like, the relationship is not working, but it's still comfortable. Should I actually leave him? We had a nice day today until the next fight that you have, right? And then you restart the cycle.
Or even if there's no fight, because if there's no fight, it's sometimes even harder, because you're like, there's not anything bad, it's not wrong, it's just not quite enough. And I actually, my last point that I'll bring up on this topic is that, as a quick one, and it's something that I've seen and experienced with a number of clients and also just colleagues and folks that I've met along the years. Sometimes, when we start businesses, somebody, you're good at your craft, you start doing your craft, you get better and better at it, and then you're faced with, how do I grow? And so I start growing by hiring people, and next thing you know, you've got this business to manage. But the more successful you are and the bigger your company gets, the further away from your craft you can be. And so for some people, it's like an awareness about that, and then having the humility or courage to say, you know what, I really don't want to have a team of 12 or 30 or 40. I really like doing my craft. So maybe I'll have a couple of assistants and I'm going to just do my thing. And so there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that there's a lot of external pressure and all this talk about scaling and growing companies and whatnot. And I think, I think that can contribute to the love factor. And people can feel pressured to try to follow suit and to do these things to scale or grow. And scaling or growing doesn't have to be adding people to your team. It doesn't have to be any of the things that other companies are doing. It can be the way you scale your own services, or the way you scale the service you offer to a select group of clients, etc.
I'm so happy you brought
a lot
this.
of ways. Yeah. That's my last point on this topic.
And actually, if I can build on that and just add to it, it's not even earning more money. It's just, you can, if that's enough for you and you want to work that amount of hours, that's also fine. It's just defining what is important for you. I think that's the bottom line.
Yes. And then when we define what it is, we have a better tendency to love it because we've been thoughtful about it.
Exactly.
So that's our case for this one, huh?
I think that's a very nice way to end this episode.
All right. So we'll say that's a wrap on. That's a wrap on episode 16.
16, and I'm curious. I do want to launch the invitation for our listeners to write down: are you in or out of love with your business at this point? All right.
Until next time.
Thank you everyone for listening. Till next time.
Ciao.
Ciao.